now. Data.
Okay, so let's start all over again. So we're looking at our assignments, day 3 assignments, and then we want to go over the query, the questions, and then see the different possible ways that we can solve out these queries. Right, so the first thing we have done is, let me minimize. So the first thing is, well, the first question is select person from person, right? And we want to bring out customers with first name starting with D and last name ending with R or M. So like we said, SQL is just like English language, right? So we'll try to do this. So with the where clause allows us to filter our rows, right? And we said we want to get the first name starting with D. So we can say where first name, we use the like syntax, which enables us to use our wildcards, right? And then we have D, and then the percentage sign that gives us anything starting with D. Percentage sign. The percentage sign, remember we talked about, signifies what's 0 or many characters. So if someone with the first name of just D would also still be returned. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you zoom your screen, please?
Mr. Sisu, you are muted. You are muted.
Actually, all good now?
Yes.
Good.
It's good now.
All right.
Please,
So
if you can zoom your screen, please. Thank you.
I just did. Let me do this again.
Maybe you should use full screen. Yeah, it's better.
Is this better now? All right. So what I will do, I'm following the process of what I will do, right? So the first thing is we want the first name starting with D. So I've been able to filter out my first name starting with D, and then I'll go back to my question and see. And I said, and last name ending with R or M. So it's English language. So we said, and last name ending with R or M.
Like.
So we use our like. This time around, we can put R, put our ampersand in front, right? Because we want it to end with R. Then we say or, we put another ampersand, and then we say M. Then we run our query.
It's no run.
Right, or last name.
Like.
Will this run? All right, let's try it out and see what our result.
Yes, it will run.
Wrong, but not correct.
Yeah, but we have a problem, right? If you look at the result, you can see that we have a problem. The first record here has the first name that is starting with R. Well, why do we have a first name starting with R? When in our query, we're specifying that the first name should be like D and the last name should be like R, or last name should be like M. So remember we talked about, if you look at this first record, the first name starts with R, which doesn't meet our criteria. Remember that between the first name and then the last name, we have an and, meaning the two conditions must be met. But when you look at the last name, we have antrim. That means the last name actually ends with M. So it's what meeting the last criteria. If we come to the second name, we still have about the same problem. So remember we talked about BODMAS and then our brackets, right? We said that in SQL, just the way we have in mathematics, queries are evaluated from the inside to the outside. That means you evaluate a bracket, right? What is inside the bracket before you use it outside, take it outside the bracket. So let's try this trick and see. So I'm going to put a bracket here and then here. And then let's run the same query and see what our output will be. Yeah, this seems to give us a better answer, right? So what I typically do most times is, I scroll through a couple, try to check, like some visual check to see that, okay, my criteria has been met. So how did this happen? Basically, what happened now is the query inside the bracket was evaluated first. So your your engine went to the person table and pulled out everyone with the last name ending with R and the last name ending with M first. Then after pulling all that out, it now carried that list again and checked for those whose first name starts with D, and then filtered it out. So with this, you're able to, pull out exact results you were looking for. So brackets can be very powerful in SQL. And there's really no right or wrong answer. It's about what you're trying to achieve, right? So if you understand what the question is and what you want to achieve, then you can determine what, if, or even where you need a bracket. While there are so many other ways to solve the same question, I would leave that up to you to play around and figure that out. Then the second question, from purchasing the purchase order detail, we want to get items with due date after 2011, where the customer ordered more than 4 of an item. Where the customer ordered more than 4 of an item. So if you look at the questions now, we're trying to be more descriptive in our questions rather than asking you get this column, that column, because in real life scenarios, the questions you'll be asked, the users and people who need these reports from you don't really know if there's a first name column or a last name column, or maybe there's a full name column put together. They really don't care about that, right? So they would come and their questions will be in normal English language. And then you have to now understand the structure of your own system or your database, and then be able to translate that into a SQL query. So basically, I will do my top 10 for starters also. From purchasing the purchase order details. This is what I like to do. Run it first and be sure step 1 is working. Then I'll come back and I'll start reviewing the columns. First, they said there are 2 conditions here. Due date is after 2011, where customer ordered more than 4 of an item. So there are also many ways you can do this, right? Here now we're going to add our where clause. And then there are many options. One is you can say, you can use due dates, write it in the whole date format, and then say greater than, let's say 31st December 2010, something like that. But there are other ways also. There are date time functions, which I will be talking to you about in today's class. And I'm sure we've probably encountered that, where you can actually filter out a part of a date time column or value. So because they said 2011, we can use the year function, right? So I can say where year due date, right, greater than 2011. And there's a second criteria. And I don't know why the year is underlined, but we'll figure that out when we run it. And the customer ordered more than 4 of an item. So if we go around, we can see order quantity, right? So we can say an order quantity greater than 4. So we have to always make sure we understand the question, right? Where the customer ordered more than 4. What if they said where the customer ordered at least 4? If they said at least 4, then you can either use greater than 3 or greater or equals to 4, because it's at least 4, meaning what 4 is inclusive. So let's run our query 2 and see what the outcome will be. Yeah. So if you review the results, you can see that order quantity we have 550, and then you also have the due dates of what 2012. You can also add an order by clause sometimes if you want to see. So I can say I can order by, let's say, order quantity. Remember we talked about this. I said by default, if you don't put anything, then it's going to be ascending. If I want to order by descending, then I'll do something like this. But I'm leaving it like this because it's going to order by ascending. I want to see the minimum order quantity that will be displayed, just a way of double checking my work. So here we have 25. From 25, I've gone to 60. So you can see that we have nothing below 4 in our query output. So sometimes, in fact, most times, a couple of manual checks is always good and helpful. So let's talk about question 3. Question 3 is interesting also. From the purchase order detail table, find out where refund is required and display a list of only purchases where refund is required. So in this same query, the question was not asked directly, right? They asked you to find out where refund is required. So as a business person, regularly you will see that we have a column called, we can now inspect the columns, right? We have unit price, we have line total, we have received quantity, we have ordered quantity, right? So when you look at order quantity and received quantity, you can see that there's likely a correlation. So if someone ordered 25 and they received 20, then you can see that the person ordered 25 and the person was supposed to what? Be given 25, but the person was given just 20. That means the person needs to be given back 5. And because when the person ordered quantity of 25, the person paid what? A unit price of 13 for each. And then we gave the person just 20. So we need to refund the difference. So this is regular math, right? So how do we find out the quantity that the person or the refund amount? First we can break it down. Let's start with saying let's even find out those that were given less than the order. So we can actually say where order quantity is greater than received quantity, for instance. Is greater than received quantity. This will give us a filter of those who ordered 4, right, and received 3. Ordered 3 and received 2. Ordered 5, 50 and received 468. That gives us an idea. But our question comes in many parts, right? We want to also know the refund. We also want to know the refund that will be given to them. So there are many ways. One is, first, we can now use math operators, right? First, let's have order quantity. And then I'll have received quantity. Then I can have, what's the difference, right? So I'll say received quantity minus ordered quantity. I can give it an alias as, let me call it undelivered quantity. So let's run this and see what our output will be. Undelivered quantity, we're getting a negative. Okay, we should have order quantity is greater than received quantity. So we should have it in the reverse, right? Order quantity greater than received quantity. So I'll run my query. So now I have this value. Then we can now move on to the next step. The next step is we want to also find out what the refund will be. Remember, we have, I'll put this here as, we have a unit price, right? Unit price. Am I correct? Let's see if we get an underline. So this is what I'll typically do. I'll comment this out, and then I'll just put an asterisk just to get the name of the column. I think it's price per unit or something. I'm doing a select asterisk, so it's taking a while to run. My slow computer, I have too many things open. So we called it unit price. Yeah, so it's unit price. So I can come back and then do this. So if we do this, we're going to get the unit price. The unit price is 50 and undelivered quantity is 1. So here it's easy, right? We can do the math. We want to know how much refund they would get. So we can now say order quantity minus received quantity, right? Remember our board mass. We want to evaluate what's in the bracket first. And then we can multiply by unit price. There are many ways to do this. There are many different ways to do this. This is just the style that came to heart for me right now. So we'll do this, and then I like to do manual checks, right? This looks cool. It makes sense with a manual check. If undelivered quantity is 1, then I'm refunding just 1 for unit price, which is 526. So when you take a look at some of these ones, do a couple of manual checks, you come to the realization that, yeah, your query is likely to have given you the correct results. So let's talk about question 4. There are many ways to also get question 4 done, right? So we'll take a look at these 2 tables, which I would likely also talk about an introduction to like writing subqueries, which is one of my favorite things in SQL, where you can actually write feed output of one query inside another query. So let's say we said write an SQL statement to check that all business entity ID in person.person table is in person.person phone. The first thing I will do will be to select and see what those tables are. Select top 10 asterisks. from person dot person. I'll do the next one. Person dot person phone. So it's here. I'll just come click. So first, we're talking about business entity ID. So I'll run this. Oh, there's a business entity ID here. That feels good. Then I'll come to this. And then I'll run it also to see, make sure that I have business entity ID. So once I check those two, I'll now pick up an idea. So they say, write a query to check that all business entity ID in person.person table is in person.person phone. Oh, I see the option of use except. So there are many different options. So using the except, let me come to the slide and let me see. I think I have that to quickly talk about. Point. So in SQL, I try to look at this union operators as the opposite of using joins. Let's say you're given different records from different sources and you're asked to put them together, right? And you're asked to put them together, put them by row, right? To increase the number of rows, total rows you're going to get, you use your union operators. So in your slide, you find where we talked about union, all, intersect, and except. They are called set operators, right? Uche would also likely talk to you about them, but I'll just give you a quick brief explanation and then you would get them. So the union operator basically gives you an opportunity of merging two different sets of record and putting them basically together, eliminating duplicates. So let's say I get records from the bank and I have first name, last name, and then let's say age, for instance, of different groups of people, and I'm collating those different records. Or a typical example is I'm gathering data from students in different classes, right? So I'm getting their first name, last name, and let's say student number. So I want to build a report. Every class maintains an Excel sheet, but now I'm bringing them together and I want to generate one Excel sheet for management to see, let's say, the total number of students. There might be a scenario where, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I have a couple of people with their hands up. I'll quickly just finish this and then we can take a few questions before we start the class, if that's okay. So the union allows you to bring all that data together, right? And then eliminate any duplicates. That means if I have somebody's name repeated in two different Excel sheets, let's say we had this person in class 5A and the person was eventually moved to 5B, but the name was not removed from 5A, union will automatically remove those duplicates, right? And then union all is more like union all will bring in everything, even if it finds duplicate from both records, right? And then the intersect will bring in everything that it can find in both records. So it's like mutually exclusive to union. right? And then except will bring out everything that is in the first record that is not in the second record. So which is basically what we're trying to do here. So in using union, we'll have to just bring out just this few columns. So let me give you a typical example. In here, we have business entity ID. So one of the rules for using this set operators is that you must return the same number of columns from the first and the second and the second row. The names must not be the same, but the number must be the same and the data types must be the same. So even if this is not business entity ID, as long as it's an integer value like what you have here, then you'll be able to do a union. So I'll give you a typical example here. So if we put this up and we do a union, right, then it's going to give us a total number of 19,972 rows. If I do a union all, it's giving us 39,944 rows. Basically, this is telling you that what it has not removed any of the duplicates for all that appeared the way, for anything it finds in both places, it still returns it. Then intersect. Maybe still running. So later when you get into writing SQL queries, you would realize that sometimes writing queries in certain ways help better with performance than writing in other ways. Because the concept behind intersect now is it's doing like a cross check, right? Picks one and makes sure that it finds it in the other list. And then, says, okay, I've found this one, picks the next one and does that check. So sometimes you can see that the query would run a little bit faster, a little bit slower than, certain other options that you might come across. Then excepts, I don't know if except will give us anything, but let's see. But I'm sure you guys get the idea behind this. It's like set theory in mathematics, right? Where you have union, all, intersect and all that. So yeah, so except won't give us anything because there's nothing in A that cannot be found in B, right? So this basically answers, also helps in answering our question 4 query, but I'll also leave us with another way of doing this using what we call subqueries, right? So I'll say select business entity ID. Well, let me just bring this down. Let's say we want to find people can even do, let's say an asterisk. In the case now they say, okay, find people who do not have in their business information or who do not have a phone, for instance, right? So I can come to select person asterisk from person.person, right? Where business entity ID, you can use include and you can use not in. Remember the include we talked about in the include we talked about when we were talking about comparison operators. So this is the coolest thing about SQL. Here now we can actually do this. Let me give you a scenario. So we come to person.phone and we'll run this query. So when I run this query, it has given me a list of business entity IDs. So just imagine that now I want to copy, I'll come here now and I'll say 1959. Then I'll do a comma, 2409. You know, I'm trying to check where business entity ID not included in these ones. And then I run this query. So it's going to return all these records. But there's actually an easier and cooler way of doing this. I've run this query, still running, let me cancel. So I've run this query. I see that this query returns me a list of business entity IDs. So the very cool thing about SQL is I can actually copy this query and then replace it here in this bracket. Let me just bring it like this so that it just looks cool. I'm a developer, so I like to make my code look clean. So the whole idea is this. This is a bracket. This query will be evaluated first. And then the result will be fed into this bracket like we were doing it manually. And then when I run this query, it's going to pick up the values from the output for this query and return the result for me. So this is basically what many of you would have solved the assignments and done this in very different various ways, which doesn't mean you're wrong, right? As long as you get the required output and then you're able to verify a few of our values to be sure that they meet that criteria, then that's basically all good. So I'll leave a few minutes for questions, right? Then we can move on to the business of the day. So it has returned no rows because everyone has the phone in the business, in the person-to-person phone table. So we leave room now for questions. Let's ask a few questions.
Can we start with Christiana? Christiana, go ahead with your question. Okay, can we move to Ayolua?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, thanks for the program. So my question is about question number 3, the assignment. So the way I did it, I just did rejected quantity greater than 0. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was how I thought about it.
Okay, is there a rejected quantity column?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that might not exactly answer our question, right? Because look at it in this way. One is rejected quantity will definitely be correct, but it might only be correct for the scenarios where the customer rejected that quantity.
Okay.
But how about the scenario where I ordered 10, but we only have 5 in stock? So I ended up delivering just 5.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if you look at it from that point of view, you see that it's possible that ordered quantity will be more than delivered quantity for other scenarios also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, can we move to Shinweike?
Hello, thanks so much, Sesu. Quick question, would you be able to go over union and intersect again, the difference? Thank you.
All right, so union, like I explained earlier, returns the records you can find in both tables, right? Eliminating duplicates. So the scenario I use here is I'm gathering information. Each class in the school maintains an Excel sheet, for instance, or let's say they have a database table where they store information about students. And then I want to compile the information of all the students in the different classes. So I can write a query to do, let's say, I'll select the student information from class A table, and then union select the student information from class B table. So there might be a scenario where a student was transferred from class A to B, but they forgot to remove the person's information in class A, right? So when I do that union, you will realize that the name, ideally, if I'm putting it together, should appear twice. But the union operator would eliminate those duplicates because it's only going to bring one of each record it finds in both. If I do a union all, then the union all will bring out everything. That means if there are 10 records in class A table and 10 records in class B table, union all will always be 20 records. Totaling, putting everything together. Then the intersect is basically set theory in maths. I know I have something, I have something in the slides here. Sorry. I have something in the slides here, but it's for, I use this to try to explain joints. But this is the same thing with set theory in mathematics, right? The first one you're seeing here, right? The middle, the green part in the middle is like the intersect between the two circles. Why? Because the records you can find in both two circles, right? So if there's a record that exists in this circle and does not exist in this circle, then it will not be returned. But for the union, it's going to return everything. So this is what the union will look like. It's going to return everything from here, everything from here. But whatever it finds in both places, it will return only one. Right? So the union will always ideally end up being more than what the intersect, because intersect only returns what exists in both. So
yeah,
like,
but sorry, Sesu. But when we ran this query that you gave us, the intersect between person and person and person phone, it's brought the same number of rows. So it's looking like it's doing a full join here.
It brought the same number of rows because it's like every record that exists in this first place exists in the second place. So
oh, I see.
If
we're doing union or it would be ×2, right? Is that what
exactly? Union or will be ×2. Union will just bring one. Intersect would also bring one because in this case, every record exists in both. But if we go back to the school example that I was explaining, right? Where I said, if you use a union and the student changes the class, it's going to pick only one of the records. But if you use an intersect, it's like you want to find schools information exist in more than one class. Let's say you're doing data cleanup and the student was transferred to another class, right? So the student's information now exists on 2 of those database tables and you want to eliminate that. So you can now do an intersect. That intersect now will bring out just that single student's record because it can be found in both tables.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I understand now. Thanks.
This class for my data. Let me see. Try to.
Yeah, can we allow Okwe to talk?
Hello, thank you very much. My question is on number 1.
Okay.
When I ran it, I'm getting the same rule as yours, but the beginning is quite different. Like starting from the name I'm having is Dakota, and with the 2 script that I wrote, with the 2 query that I wrote. So, but yours is starting from in the middle, like Derek. So I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah, so remember I told you, I explained something about using the order by clause. It depends. If we want to have the same result, I can now say I want to order by first name, for instance.
No, I didn't order anything. I have not even sort it out like order. It just
so once you don't order,
just randomly somehow.
Yeah, it happens randomly. Once you don't order, you don't have control of how the data would appear. I can run this now and run it the next time and it will appear differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm seeing Derek. On my own, I'm seeing Dakota with I wrote it in 2 different script, and I'm getting Dakota. So that's what I'm trying to see if I did anything wrong.
No, I don't think you did.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That will be all for me. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Christiana Ezika. Available. Can we have Emanuela Eke?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
And thank you, Cecil, for the lecture. I just want to understand this union and then join. From the slide, you have the same images, like explaining set functions. So when do we use union? When do we use join? And is it the same? I think join brings columns also. So does union also bring columns, or it's kind of confusing to me? Please help.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I just try to use that image to explain, but the concepts are the same, but just look at it in two different ways. So they join. When you join two tables, you get more columns, right? But when you do a union, you get more rows.
Oh.
So you get the idea. So let me give you a typical example. And the typical example is what we have here. We have two tables here called business entity. Let's run this table. And let's do a top 10 asterisks. And then let's do that same thing here. So I want us to.
Cicely, let me explain something to her.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my sister, listen. If you, let's say, you are a student, okay, and your information is on the student table, and like I said, you paid for your residence, okay, and the residence information is on the resident table. If I now want to do something that I want to see the students that are staying in this particular res, in that case, I need to do a join between the two tables. I will now say the same student ID that is in the student table is the same student ID that is used to register you in the res. So I will not be able to bring your hostel that you're staying in the res and your student, and I might even now go to another table to actually go find out, okay, to just say this student, Teresa, paid 500 for these particular residents. The name Teresa is sitting on the customer table. The name, the account is sitting on the account table where we can get how much you have paid. Then what you paid for, as in the res, your particular room is sitting in the res database or res table. In that case, if we want to bring them all together to be able to explain, like when we say things, we break things into where it can belong to, so that we'll be able to capture it, because the first time you come into as a student, you don't have a residence, you don't have an account. We're only just registering, capturing your student information. In that case, if we put hostel there, or we put your accounts, you don't have an account number first. So we first of all capture every information that is unique, that you can capture together as one, which is student. Then after you have registered as a student, we give you a student ID. You take that student ID, you go to the accounts department to pay your school fees. They now give you an account ID number, and they want to know whose student owns this account number. They ask you for the student ID that you were given before. Then they are in the same table. When you now pay on the student, you pay your school fees and you pay for your res. If you go to the res to now just say you want to be allocated to a res, they're going to ask you what is your account number that you used to pay? You give them your student ID number, which they will use. You give them the account number, which they will use to know if you have paid. So these informations are sitting in 3 different tables. So when you now want to bring all of them together to actually explain something, then you're going to do a join. On the union one, let's say the 2 schools now, University of Alberta and McEwen University, are merging together. They want to become one school now. We need to take the student information from U of A and the student information of McEwen University to add them together so that we have a comprehensive record of the students because they are now one school. In that case, you're going to do a union between the 2 tables. And I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Uche. Just like a union between a man and a woman, right? Look at it from that point of view.
Okay. Yeah. Can we have Kemi Ariyo?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Sesu, for your explanation. Like your explanation that unions join rows and joins column. Like it's the nail on the head for me. Thank you so much. So my question is still about union. So you mentioned that union will return records without duplicates, but union all will kind of pick all the records. So I'm just wondering that for union, is there a specific logic it follows? Like, let's assume that there are 3 records, for example, for a specific person. Which one will he pick? Will he pick the first, second, or third? Is there a specific logic it follows?
So now, this is what, it will pick any, but one thing it checks is to make sure that they are completely identical, right? So if I'm doing a union and I have 3 columns, you know, one has Paul, Michael, but the last column has an age that is 4. And then the other table has Paul, Michael, but has the other column an age that is 4.1.
Okay.
It's going to return them as separate records.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. But if every column is the values are exactly the same, then it's going to pick the first one.
The first one, okay.
Which is the table at the top. And the truth is, it really doesn't matter to you because it doesn't matter which one the engine picks because it's going to be the same. But if there's a slight difference between any of the values in the columns, then it's going to return it as a different record.
It's a different record. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. So it will only pick the exact record from the other table. Like,
yes, exactly. Okay. Everything has to be the same.
The same. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's it for me.
Can we have Grace?
Yeah, hi, thanks. Thanks, Sesha. Nice explanation. So my question is just to follow up on the set operators, union and joins. So is it safe to now say that union appends tables and joins merge tables? And secondly, how do I correlate that same logic with intercept and except? So can I say intercept is an inner join and except is a left join?
So I don't want us. Uche, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, the first one that you said.
Yeah,
you're spot on. Union appends and join it merges. You're spot on. Intersect and accept. Just look at the English word. Don't overcomplicate it. If something is an intersect, that is, this thing is inside this thing. Okay?
Yeah.
When something is in the intersection, that means they are meeting. All right. And when we say accept, that means they are not meeting. All right. Those things are things that you usually use like if you are a data analyst and they tell you, this table is related to this table. The first thing you're going to do is I'm going to find out if this table you're telling me, do they have something in common that I can use to merge them? In that case, I'll just do an intercept to just say, select all my account ID numbers. Okay, select all my customer IDs in accounts ID, in accounts table. I just want to see if there is a relationship, if the students belongs to this account. I'll just do an intercept. And if I now want to find out if there's an abnormality, are there accounts that have no corresponding students? I will do an except to just say, I just want to see the difference where it is not together or where it is together. That's just one of the examples of where you commonly use it. Like what we're saying now, you're saying the person and business ID and the person's an email or phone number. You just want to find out, does every business entity have a phone number? Yes. You do an intercept. If you want to find out, are there business entities without a phone number on the phone table? You do an except and now be able to say, how is this business actually operating if they don't have a phone number? Do I make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Thanks. So that intercept and except now, are we looking at column headers for that information or rows?
Rows.
Rows, okay. How about the column names? It's rows because the column names can be different. Okay. You understand? On intercept, you can say select in one table is called customer ID and in the other table is called customer key. You understand? Right. So you can say select customer ID from this table, intercept or except select customer key from the other table. What is actually going to be looking at is what is on the inside and not necessarily on the column headers.
Okay. Okay. That's
Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can we have Ayobami? You'll be the last person to ask question at this point. We need to move with the agenda of today. Go ahead, Ayobami.
Thank you so much, Remy, and thank you, Timothy, for that explanation. I'm sorry to go back again. This one question I just want to know. So intercept, does it work like inner join?
The algorithm between the intersects, we cannot actually tell you it works like an inner join. But what it does is this, because each of these keywords, there's an algorithm behind it of how each of them act. But what we can tell you precisely is that intersect actually checks what is common between the two tables.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So Seshu, for the last query that we wrote for number 4, where we use not in. So when we try to look for specific number, which is 1959 and 2409.
Yeah.
So that's return a result set for us.
Yeah.
But when we try to do the subquery in a query, it didn't return anything. I want to know why.
Yeah, because the subquery has more than just 2 records, right? So if I run this subquery, you see that it has a total of 19,972 rows. So we are saying that return what is not in this 19,972 rows. So it's not going to find anything. But the other one, there were just only 2. So we said return what is not included in these 2. So that will return 19,970 records. You get the idea?
Okay, so it's not going to show the one that gave us a result set would not give us 1959 and 2409, but it's going to return the remaining one.
Yes,
correct.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Uche.
Okay, let me share my screen for today.
Let me quickly stop sharing. Okay, take it away.
Okay, I'm in class. Okay, is everybody seeing my screen? Is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes, we can. You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, you can go ahead. All right. All right. Today we're just gonna be looking at a combination of just 1 second. I just want to open that slide again.
Can you help us zoom the screen?
Just 1 second. I just want to open this slide. Okay. Zooming it. Okay. Okay. Let me just 1 second. Which of the screens are you seeing now? Okay. So how do I zoom it now? It's not zoomed. Hello.
This is fine. It looks,
See
it
your
looks fine.
script, your Azure script page.
We can see it.
Maybe you can move the screen a little bit to the left side, the wrong side. Maybe you move it closer to the valley. Yeah.
Control plus.
It's better now.
Control plus.
Control plus, yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, it's fine. Okay. All right, welcome class. Okay, today I'm just gonna follow up. Hold on. Here, I'm just looking at the queries I wrote. Okay. All right. Okay, it's this one. It's this one. Okay. Okay. We're just gonna be looking at some of those functions that are remaining today. If I look at those functions, we have yeah, we have some of these functions. We need to look at the date functions, the try and cast, some maximum, minimum count, and those are some of the functions that we call aggregated functions. So those are some of the things we're gonna cover today. It's quite unfortunate that today is the last class. There are still quite a lot of things that you can learn from SQL. Sesu has shared the Stack Overflow. Okay, those are things that you can go through, go Google. And another thing that works is if you want to do something and there's a keyword you're looking for, you might say you want to learn more of inner join. Go to YouTube, type in inner join in SQL. You're gonna see a lot of tutorials, you understand, of a similar lecture that we're giving you that might explain to you a whole lot more for that. You just see people presenting it in different ways that would, at the end of the day, make sense to you. So those are things that are just quite a whole lot of resources that are online that you can help. The only disadvantage of it is that you need to know what you're actually looking for. You understand? That is why it will be a nice thing if you take in a SQL course as Black Tech is doing their data analysis training that is coming up, that would take you a little more insight on all of these keywords, even if you don't now remember them, but when you get work and you now want to do something, and you now just say, but this keyword will actually help me to do that. And if you don't know how to use it, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, and it's gonna be explained to you. But at the same time, you just need to see as much knowledge as you can get outside what that is being taught this period. Okay, for those functions, I'm just gonna be using one table, you understand, for us just to go through that. And I know that everybody knows this keyword where we say select top 100, or sometimes we just say select top 10. What we actually do when we do this is you just want to see what is in the table, what is in the data. You're not interested in everything that is in it, and you just query it and you, sorry, let me just change my DB, you know. So, and you just query it to just find out what is in the table. So if we're querying what is in here, we're just gonna see this purchase order details. It has unit price, it has line total, it has quantity received, and all of that, okay? So if I wanna find out how many, this is my line total, I just wanna sum them to just find out what is the total on my line table, okay? I can actually do two things. First of all, I can go in here and I say, I just wanna sum my line total. You see, I'm deleting something and I'm removing this one. I'm gonna explain to you. If I just say I wanna sum the line total, if I click this and I run it, it will tell me the values that I have here, that my line total is about 63 million. Okay, that is just my total. Somebody might say, okay, yes, we've made 63 million, but I want to see this 63 million by the products. I want to see this 63 million by the year or the date or whatever. You understand? We just want to group it, to want to see it, to just say this 63 million shopping, how many we are done by women and how many we are done by men. You understand? Let's see if men have started to shop as much as women. You understand? They want to see those splits. Yes, we have seen the information that you have given us that we have made 63 million on sales, for example, but how did we make it? So somebody might just ask you to group them based on something. All right, so that takes us to the next code I'm gonna run. It says select sum of line totals, and I'm just calling it total due. This is just an alias, and I know Sesu has explained it to just say, sometimes you will see codes, you will see column names in the database that you just ask yourself, who actually designed this database? You understand? Because the names are some, I just saw one at the office and the name is X30, X30, E20, XROF. So you're just asking yourself, what is this table in? And then when you go into it, you just see U80 string, U80 string 1, U80 string 2, and you're just asking yourself, what does this thing mean? And probably somebody that has a domain knowledge will come to you and just tell you, no, U80 string is how the application passes us the information, but what is actually there is actually the assets. So when you're now writing that query, you don't want to write U80 string. You now want to give it a more meaningful name as an asset. So you now give it what we call an alias, where you just say U80, select U80 string as asset. So that is, hello? Okay. Okay, somebody was talking on the background. All right, so that is what these alias mean, and it has been explained many times. So I actually want to sum this line total, and I want to check it by due date. once you put a second field, you want to do it, there's always a message. Okay, let me just do this. I'm going to comment this last line out, and I'm going to run this. I will say sum total as total due, some line total as total due date from this. If I run this, you always see this error. It will tell you column due date is invalid in the select list because it's not contained in either an aggregated function or by a group by clause. Am I making sense? You always will see this error. If you're writing SQL as a new person, you're gonna see this error. Once you use any of the aggregated function, and when I say aggregated function, a function that summarizes things together like sum, count, maximum, mean, all of those old things, they are all aggregated functions. If you use any of them, then you need to put in a group by if you have a second column. But if I remove this due date and I say sum, like what we did before, it will return it. It's gonna just return your record. But once I want to add a something that is gonna split this total into different groups, then you need to put this group by clause in it. And as many columns as I add in here to group them, I need to add them into the aggregated function. So if I now run this, it's gonna give me, this is the total due amount on the 13th or on the 19th of March, 20th of 24th of January of February. If I still want, I can still now say order by. I can say order by due dates, and like what CISO has told you people, you can say descending or ascending depending on how you want to see the information. But when you don't provide, the default is ascending. So I can group this, and you're gonna see it's gonna now start on the sequence. You now have 2021, April, May, December, and it's gonna just sum all of those your information based on this. You can group this by whatever thing that you want or whatever thing that you're looking for to just have more information on your data. Are we there? Okay.
Yep.
Any question on that?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Oh, the line total, the summation, is it by column or by row? Like the total sum, how will I call it? Is it a grand total or each column is summing itself? I don't know how the sum is working.
No. If I remove the group by, if I remove this group by, like I run the first one, it's just like you have opened an Excel sheet.
Okay.
And I know some of us have used Excel, and you click at the top of Excel and it gives you the total in that column.
Okay.
Yes.
So on this one, on this one that you do group by now, is doing total summation by each row, right?
No, by what I have classified as my group by. If I want to group it by male or female, it's gonna go in there and divide my total based on male and female. If I want to group it by city, and I have Toronto and I have New York, it's gonna go there and split it into Toronto and New York.
So like this now, what you have now, this total due and this total due like you have now, if you sum it, let's say vertically, like in grand total of it, will it be equal to the one if you don't group it?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay. That's
If you take it out and you put it, it is the same. Okay, all right.
Sorry, I
And
have
another
a
thing
question. Oh,
okay. And another thing that I want to share with you, with the team is that is what if you're going to work in data, especially when you do inner joins, left after join, right outer join. Once you do your join, don't say my code has executed and everything is right. If you have a table, okay, and you have an inner join on a table, the result will be the total rows that you're going to return will be equal to the smallest table, the smallest number of rows. If two tables one has 10 records, the other one has 2 records. If you do an inner join, you understand, your value will not be more than 2. It's either 2 are matching or 1 is matching. So what am I trying to say? Whenever you do your inner join, try research to it. You need to balance back to what you're expecting. Do a row count to find out that what am I expecting? If we do a left join and there are 1,000 records, which is your base, you're saying, I want to return everything on my left and whatever that is now matching elsewhere. The left becomes your base. You understand how the table becomes whether it's on the left side of your hand or on the right side of your hand when you're doing the join. So if you want everything that is on the table that is on your right hand side, you say right outer join or right join. If it's on your left hand side, you say left join, depending how you able to reference the table, which one is on your left and which one is on your right. But once you finish that thing, go back and count the number of records to make sure that what you are expecting is what you are getting. Okay. Then we have looked at grouping by this line total. So we can, okay, you know that the numerical fields you can sum, the categorical fields you count. You cannot sum student ID. You cannot sum phone number. You can only count how many phone numbers is in there or how many students are in there. The same thing on average are on numerical values. Okay, you can use max. You cannot do the average date, but you can do the maximum and the minimum dates. There are some things that will make sense. The categorical things, you can get some databases where things that are not supposed to. Generally, in a database, how it's supposed to be designed, even if something has a number, if you cannot use it in a calculation, you should store it as a text. What did I say? Even if it's a number, if you cannot use it to do any calculation, you do sum, minus, times, addition, all of that. If you cannot use that value to do those things, you need to store it as a text. That is why you say in the database, phone numbers are stored as text, your SIN numbers are stored as text, your other things, regardless of the fact that their numerical numbers are stored as text, because you're not going to use them to do calculations. So those ones you use the aggregated function that you're going to use to do is to count them. So if I look at what we have here, I can decide to say, let me count order ID. Okay, I can come in here to just say, let me count how many purchase order details. If I come here and I say, okay, let me count this. I can say count. I can say purchase order. Purchase order ID. If I do this, it's going to account for me how many purchase order ID that is in here. Is 8,845. I can still go in here to just say, I want to see the maximum and the minimum due date. I can say maximum due date. I can still say minimum due date. So I usually do this. If sometimes as a data analyst, you're given a set of data, all right? The first thing you want to do before you do joins, you just want to find out how many rows is in that data. If that data has like 100 million, like you're looking at the bank transactions, you understand, for a month worth of transaction, you can have 100 million rows. If you don't know the size of the data you're doing and you start doing all your joins, you're going to bring down the server. You're going to take off the whole memory of the server. So what you usually do is you count how many records are on that table so that you have an idea of what are you looking at. If you are in a place and they have customers, you just might want to find out how many customers do we have. You understand? You do a count on the customer table and you'll be able to find out that. Or you just wanna, or they give you some sense of data and you just want to find out how much history is in there. Am I gonna be looking at data that were added into the system since the year 2000? You understand? Those data are not, yes, you can use them for analysis, but it wouldn't give you an idea of probably what you're doing. So in that case, you can just go to that data, and if it has a date field, you can just say minimum and maximum to actually see how current is this data. You cannot be analyzing data that the last time people added things to that table was in 2014. You understand? And you're busy just running it and you're analyzing what? You understand? So in that case, you just go run through the data, find out what is the maximum date, and you now find out, okay, he has information as of yesterday. That means that data is current, or you look at the minimum to just say, okay, he has 5 years of history. Okay, that is fine. I can actually do some analysis of mine data based on that. So those are just some scenarios that you usually use minimum, maximum, and the scenarios are endless depending on what you do. Okay, so we've looked at the count functions, we looked at the sum, we looked at the mean, we looked at the max, and the average. All of them follows similar logic. Okay, the next thing I just want us to look at is case statement. All right, case statement. I'm just looking at the same table. All right, okay, if I run this case statement, I will explain it. You're gonna see what I have here. It's just 1 second, I just need to, okay. You see, I'm looking at my stocked quantity. And in this case statement, I says, when my stocked quantity, QTY, is greater than 0, and the stocked quantity is less than or equal to 50, I want to flag it as low stock, okay? And then if it's not like that, I'll just say in stock. All right. In that case, you can use case statements to just look at them, and you look at the greater than that Sisu has explained earlier, and the greater or equal to. And in the most things, as an analyst, if you want to do data, there's what we call putting things in a bucket. All right. You don't want to look at things
like segmentation, right?
Segmentation. You understand segmentation. This is where they comes through. You understand, like where I'm currently working now, they do car loans. All right. And one of the things I'm doing is to just see people that are owing, people that are delinquent. So I want to find out how many people, classify my customers from those that have not paid, that are in arrears for the first 30 days. Then we can start chasing them. Those that are in arrears between 30 to 60 days. Those that are in arrears between 60 to 90 days. Those are in arrears for 120 days plus. Those ones are delinquent. We now know that one, their car has to be repossessed. Secondly, we need to go to court and all of that. So based on all of those whole things, we don't want, if somebody is owing us and he has not paid after 3 days, we don't want to be chasing him and say, hey, okay, we're gonna take your car. So in that case, we want to concentrate to see the people that we're gonna send to the report department to go and possess and repossess their car. In that case, you want to put there, you want to segment them. You understand? The same thing when you work in the bank. You understand there are entry level. We can say people that their salaries is between 1,000 to 2,500 are entry level. Or people that are earning between $150,000 to $250. There are different segments. So you need to do that, because when we want to do campaign, and we just say, okay, there is a new car that has come out, and in the new version of Tesla, we need to reach out to those people to just say, this is a new car, come and buy. You understand? You don't want to send it to somebody that his income bracket is between 1,000, 2,500. No matter how much the person likes the car, he won't be able to buy it. So we're wasting effort doing those campaigns. In that case, you need to segment the customers so that your campaign team, you cannot extract the people that campaign is actually good for. You understand? And then you'll be able to send them to just say, this is the new Tesla model that is out there. So you can use some of these case statements to actually do segmentation, and some people, they just call it putting them in buckets. Any question on that before we move?
Thank you, Timothy. But I think if we can just go through it just one more time. I think I got confused a bit. Thank you.
Also for me, and how is the column generated itself, or is it our code that generated that column stock level?
It is our code that generated it. You see where I put it, I say, and this is the column name stock level. If I change this thing to just say, I want to call it tested. If I run it now, it's gonna change to tested. It's gonna change to tested.
And is it possible to reorder it, like to position the column?
No, it's gonna go at the end of it, except I can move this. I can move this, what I have here, okay, to come in here. And I run this. You see, testing is not at the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
Thank you.
those are just some things that you can play.
Hi, Timothy.
Yes.
Does end also work this as alias?
No, end is I can have a lot of case statements in here. So when I have finished my case statement, and I just put end.
Oh, okay.
I can put in a whole lot of case statement. I can put in like 10, 15 to just say, if it's this, do this. If it's this, do this. If it's do this. When I have reached to the end, I will now put that keyword end.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so let me just add there. So you can actually put the AS after the end, right?
Yes.
So alias, you can use AS and you can leave it blank.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Sisu has explained to you guys the intercepts and the accepts. I looked at it again and he used almost similar example. We're all fine with that, right?
Yeah, but you still didn't explain the casing one more time.
The case statement I'm saying is I'm looking at this field stock
Maybe
quantity.
you can use student record, like when they score from let's say 90 something to 80, then that is A
correct.
grade.
Yes,
From
when it's
50
between this
to,
and this, it is 8, and when is and when you
Also, can you
score
help us to, can you give an example of maybe under 2 loop statement? You know, you use when and I think you do use when and else here. Is there any other loop statement, maybe for or anything? I don't know.
Yeah, you can use the if statement.
If statement.
Okay.
You can say if this is this, then do this. If this is this, do this. They all do the same thing. All right. Okay. I'm not gonna do this. Okay, let me just explain it. But
Okay, Timothy.
Yes.
If somebody is saying that you should show them how you change the column, the way you move the stock by moving the A to the last part, yeah.
What I'm actually doing in this, like here, I said my purchase order is A. And if I say A.all, it helps me rather than to say product details, due date, order quantity, product ID, unit price, line total, received quantity, rejected, and all of that. I just say A.all, which I can write each and every one of them one by one. It's gonna take me longer. So if I copy this, so what this thing does is it will first of all select everything that is in this product order details, all the whole columns. And then it will now add this new one I have created. So if I say, first of all, create this new one and then add this one much later, I will only just come in here, put the comma because it's a column and I remove this. And that is it. And I'll be able to change it from the end to the beginning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Sorry to draw you back. So in this case now, must it be in square brackets? You know, you put A to the last end from that table's name. Does it matter? You know, you say from purchasing bracket, you know, and you put A to the last end. Does it matter if you put A?
Yeah, rather than me just retyping purchasing the purchase order details, I just put A as an alias so that I don't type a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Does it matter if they are all in square brackets or must they be in square brackets?
These purchasing orders.
You know, these purchasing orders, they are in square brackets.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If I remove it, it's all the same 10 and 10 pence. It's all the same. But if If there is a space in the table names, you need to put them in a square bracket. If there is a space in a table name, you need to put them in a square bracket so that the system does not read it as 2 columns. It will be able to read them as 1 column. If like you have email space address as the name of the column, you need to put it in a square bracket for the system to just know that we are still talking about the same thing. You understand, not 2 columns. All right. All right. Okay.
I have a quick question.
You say you want to ask a question?
Yes, please. How do you put the indent?
The indent here. Yeah, you just put a tab on your keyboard.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
If I take it like this, I can still put it like this. You just indent it like so that it's easier to read. Okay.
Thank you, Timothy.
All right. Okay. I said I was not gonna look at this, but just learn the keyword for your own purpose. Okay. Let's say we're doing a scenario like you just want to see your previous balance. Okay, let's say you have a balance of 1,000 today, and then you paid in money and it became 1,500. You want to see your new balance and your previous balance on the same line. You understand? That is one of the things that we use lag functions. But you might not ever get to use it. And I think I have used it like, I don't think like more than 4 times in my over on almost 20 years developing SQL. You understand? So I'm not gonna adjust, but just learn the keyword is a lag function. All I'm just trying to do here is, this was my stock before. You understand? Do I have a previous stock? Is no, and then it will just be telling me what the previous stock is. What we usually do with it in the office now is somebody opens an account and he has been paying his car loan. Okay, he has finished it and we are closing his account. I want to see that trend. I want to see how much was his last one before it turns to 0 before you close the account. I just don't want the account to just disappear like that. It's closed, it's closed. I just want to see how he ran down his account and it becomes 0 so that I will be able to have that 0 and now know, so, okay, this account is now 0, right? That is why the account is closed. You might want to get that information. So to just have that in a line is what we use the lag function. And then what I did was just to partition it by the due date, to just say, I want to look at the previous date and like all of that. You understand, to just do it. But there are a whole lot of other scenarios you can use the lag function. But if you ask me, it is just way beyond what you might want to start trying to understand now. But just know that there are those functions, and we call them the window functions. There are the lead, there are the rank X, there are the lag functions, and a couple of them. Is not something that you're gonna use very regularly, but as you now progress, if you want to be a data analyst, you understand, of course, by that time your SQL skills is going to be a whole lot more advanced. Then you might just look at all of these functions. And then there is something else that I want to share with you guys, is that I might have this kind of code, right? I've run it now, I've tested it, it works. So what do? I copy every code you have run that works for you, open a notepad and paste it in there. It becomes your code library. So that whenever you want to do something, even if you don't remember, you can just go into your code library. You just click find and you type in that keyword. It's going to show you that particular code. You have written it before, or you have seen something like that before, and you just decided to test it. Not that you're going to use it, but it's a new keyword that came up that you just want to see how it works. You take your time, learn how it works, write a code in your own language that you know that works. You understand, you have tested that functionality. You copy that code, you go and put it in a notepad, and it becomes your code library. You understand? And you're going to have it over the years, and you're going to continue to enrich it, that no matter what you want to do, how you don't even need to think about the code, how you just go back to your code library and you're going to see how you have done it and the things you have done it. Even if you're working in a new place, if you see a particular code and you look at that code and you just run it and you just find out, oh, this is what this code is actually doing, you copy that code and you put it in your code library, that at any particular point in time that you want to redo something like that, you can always go back to that code to do that. All right. I'm gonna run this code. These are just some of the functions that we have. The get date will return today's date. Okay, it will return exactly today's date and today's time and what the time is. That is what is gonna return to you. Okay. You might ask me now, what do you use this get date for? Okay. There is something I do. If I want to automate a process, every day I want to go to my database and I want to extract all the wholesales that was done yesterday. You understand? All the wholesales that was done yesterday. So if I want to extract that sales that was done yesterday, I don't want every day I'm gonna now begin to change the date for the new date and all of that. I want to automate them. In that case, you can use something like this. I can just say dates added. All right. I can say I want to add probably day, and I'll say -1. Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry. -1, -1, and I remove that.
And let me also add some scenarios where you require things like get date, right?
Okay.
Like a typical example is when you're storing people's information in the database, you usually would not store their age, right? Because age is dynamic, age changes. So you usually store date of birth, right? And anytime you want to calculate that person's age, you can get a
use the
difference
get date
between the get date, which is the current date, and their date of birth to get their age.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So
right.
always use that in every scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, he's talking as a programmer point of view, as a front-end developer. I'm talking as and so you see, like if I have this in my data warehouse, every morning, if I run my code and I pass, and I can just declare a variable to take this date and just pass it in my information in my date. What this thing will do every day is gonna calculate it because I'm looking for the information yesterday. Today, business has closed. If today's business closes by 12 o'clock, the warehouse will extract the data and they put it inside the warehouse for us to analyze the next morning. So, and I want to go pick up that information. I don't want every day I'm just gonna be changing data. You just use this and you pass parameters, and it will always go and extract the previous daily information for you and just load it into your warehouse. So those are just some of them. So if you look at the date name, depending on what you pass it tells you it's 2022. If you do the month, it will return September for you. If you, it will return September for you. If you change this thing today, it will return the day for you of the date name. It will tell you what today is, and then, So this is just the same thing. You can stay past a different year, a different date, and it will just look at this, and the month is just gonna return it for you as October. If you look at the day, it's gonna return for you as if we look at the day and we look at this. It gives you your 31 days. So those are just some of the date functions that you can play around with. I can still say, rather than this, if we go to that other table and I run this, I just want to see the month in this due date and be able to just do some things. I might want to, as an analyst, I might want to extract this thing as a month. If I extract it as a month, I might now use it to just do a chart to just find out which of the months do people order a lot more things than other months. So you're gonna just see if it's April will spike up, or May, and all of that. We can use that to start looking at what we call seasonality. You understand? If we wanna do year to year and all of that. Okay, there's somebody raising your hands. Do you want to say something? Any question?
Yes, I have a question. So when month for the 2022-10-31, it returned the 10 as October. But when your day, it returned as 31. Is it not possible to have it like Monday through Saturday, something like that? Instead of
there is a different, if you want to, there is name of day, there's other functions for that you can use to just return Monday.
I was just wondering, why did they change it to October instead of the 10 in that query? And then for the day, it returned it as the number. I don't know if you came up with it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, day name. Okay, that's actually true. Why did they return this as October? Okay, and I need to just play around with it to just find out why I returned it as October rather than 10. Okay. I will just check. There might be another function that I can just use why it returned it as 10. But if I do date part, for month, it will return it as 10. All right. If I say select, I say date part.
But you know that for the day, it could change from month to month. Like today, if October 31st is 31 and it goes into another month, for 31st could be another day of the week. So I guess maybe that's the reason why they didn't program it that way.
But it was specified the exact date. Don't you think so?
If what?
But the exact date was specified, as in the year, the month, and the day.
Yeah, so I'm talking about the way it works at the end.
Can you let him execute line 53?
Line 53. Yeah, on October, if I want to return
Did you see
10,
that?
yeah, I saw it as, but if I want to return 10, I can still use that another function to say date, part, month, this for
Can
me,
you
and
try
it will
the
return
line
for me as
53?
10.
The month, if you change it to M, does it help?
No,
53 is month.
can you pass weekday into day? Pass weekday into day. Let's see if it's going to return the day name. Weekday.
Yeah, it all depends on what you want to do. Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
that's what we are looking for here.
For you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All
Okay.
right. All right. Okay. So that is that. All right. So this one is date different. You might want to check how many days between this day and this day. All right. And you can just use the date diff. The date diff, it calculates it like you might want to just find out how many days does it take from when somebody has ordered and when it was shipped, to just find out if you're having some logistic issues. You might want to calculate the date diff between the order date and the ship date and be able to analyze it and plot chart and show them that averagely it's taking us 10 days to actually ship our orders, and then logistic department can now start looking at it to just say, why would it take us 10 days to do shipment, and all of those whole things. We just put them in a chart, and you can play around with it to just see, does this thing actually happen in all of the products or on some products? And in that case, you start plotting products and date diff, and to just see, you can plot products and departments. You can do date diff and department to find out which department is more guilty of it. So there are just quite a whole lot of things as an analyst that you might want to get out from some of these information. Okay. So I have talked about date part you use year if you want the year, month, the month, and this one to this one. So if we run a case like this, you're gonna see it's 2011 4th April 30, and this is the actual date and all of those whole things that you can do this. So this thing is actually storing it as a date time. If you store it as a date, it will remove these other things in there. You know, there's something that we're just doing in the office, calling people that are owing. In that case, you might want to just split this thing into time and date function and find out at what time are they most likely pick your call, so that you can start doing the best time to call and all of those other things. So those are some of the things that as a data analyst that you do, but as you do things, you get a whole lot more experience and all of that. Okay. So this was where I did an average function, which I have explained. We were just looking at the average unit price. You understand? I can say as unit price, as AVG, average unit price. Okay. And then you can just run this and just group it by product idea. You just find out what is the average unit price of whatever thing that we're doing. Then, I think Sisu has explained this, which is the distinct function. You just want to find out, you don't want to look at duplicates. You understand? You just want to find out the distinct functions, like somebody has given you a transaction table. A customer ID might have transacted 3 times or 4 times and all of that, that you just want to find out how many actual number of customers that are transacting based on each day. You understand? So in that case, you can just use the distinct count and all of that. All right. And we can still say count distinct. You understand? You can just say the distinct product ID will just give you the whole distinct product ID that is in there. Or if I use count distinct, it will just count the number of them and tell me it's 265 and all of that. Okay. Then there are these, just 1 second, please. Sorry, class. So the another one is a select, is when you want to convert something. You might have a number, you want to convert it to a voucher, or you want to convert it. So if you use if you say the select the try cast, if I run this, it's gonna give me null. But if I remove this, and I run this, it will give me an error. So you just use it like I can use it here to just say select case, try cast this, then say fail or succeed, so that it will just give you a slow landing thing or more informative description of what you are trying to do. Cast is just converting from one data type to the other. You can use cast, you can use convert. Each of them will actually work perfectly. So I think I have gone through some of the functions that we specify today, the date, the try cast. This has been done, and all of this has been done. The Windows functions are some of them that I have explained. You understand that you really will not use it. So that is where we are explaining and using SQL Server. We've talked about the management, SQL Management Studio. That is where we have been doing this code. And that's what we say, importing data into SQL Management Studios, writing DL statement. This is the data manipulation language, exporting data. Those ones is it's more of an ETL thing.
So
that
we have people who said you should try to explain the cast function again.
Cast is okay. An example might be sometimes people make mistake and they put in something, or probably how you imported a data in Excel, from Excel into SQL. As you import it, Excel will just convert everything as text. But once Excel brings it into SQL and it's text, and you now want to use it to do calculation, you might want to convert that number into an integer. In that case, you say cast into an integer. You understand? But if you use the try, most times it works mostly for syslog. That there are programmers. They don't want to get that error. When you say try cast, is you're trying to catch the error. You're trying to give it a soft landing. Is a validation. If he casts, fine. If he doesn't, he can just return an information here to just say an integer is expected, or something that is more meaningful and constructive for you. But casting and convert is just converting from one data type to another data type. Most times, except when people join, but most times how you always have it is when you import data from Excel everything is usually a voucher, and then you might want to now use it. In that case, you're gonna use your cast, and you just say convert this as a date or convert this. And even if you have Excel that you have imported, and most are voucher, you want to put them by numbers. You understand how you can just throw how you can just now use the try and cast function to just do it, rather than for you to just have an error. You understand, for it to just give you a soft landing of how to validate this. So if I say they all just work the same thing, if I run this, you're gonna have an immediate error. It will tell you it cannot convert this. But if I use this to just say try this, it will give me null. You understand? So you just use them programmatically to just do your cast and your convert.
Yeah, so Timothy, I had an experience about this about 3 weeks ago. So looking at that column in Object Explorer, it's dates, but the data type on it shows VACA. So the person who wrote the script had actually used cast, that casts this voucher as a string into dates. But see, the script, the interesting thing is the script has been running for months, over a month, and there was no problem. But this particular day, I kept running into an issue. So I was reading the error, and the error was saying you cannot do this, you cannot do string to date and all that. So I had to Google. It took me a very long time. Then I came across one that said you can either use try cast or try convert. The moment I changed the cast, I just put the try and the underscore in front, and then it ran and it worked. But before that day, I didn't know there could be some error like that or some solution to even solve it like that. So I think I understand what you're saying, because I have had that experience about 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, from experience too, another way you can use the convert is, let's assume that you want to join tables together, and in one table, there is a particular column that is in. Hello?
No, continue.
Yeah, probably a column that you want to use to join together. One is in a different data type, and the other one is another data type. So when you want to join with that column, it will not go until you change, you convert one into the other data type so that they can, now do the joining.
All right, correct. I mean, spot on. So yeah, the import, like I have said, is there are still quite a whole lot of things that you might need to do, because sometimes your data is sitting somewhere else. You understand? Yeah. In that case, let me just look at this Object Explorer. If you go in and you just right click and you say import data, and I can just go through and check which data type do I want to import. Is it an Excel? Is it a flat file? Is it from another SQL database to another SQL database? If it's another SQL database, you just go in there and especially if you are in the office where you guys have like in the office, we usually have what we call a production database and a dev database. So you don't make changes on the production. You need to make change on the dev. So if you want to test with the latest data, you just go in here and you import. You understand? You just right click and you go here, you say import data, and you go to your production database and you connect
Hello,
to it.
Mr. Technology. I can't see your mouse moving. I don't know if it's only me or others.
Okay, but are you seeing this screen now? This import SQL
No,
Server
I'm only
import?
seeing your Azure. I don't know about others.
I can't see it neither.
Okay, you can't see it neither. Okay, hold on. Let me just share it again. Okay. Just. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, sir. It's better now.
Okay, so what I'm saying, you just click here, you just say import, and you can import from Excel file. I can go in here and I choose Excel. It's gonna tell me where I'm gonna browse to it. I can go somewhere and look for, let's just say I want to just pick this sample file. I select it. Okay, this one is let me. You said it's not registered. This OLDB provider. I don't know why is it not import in my Excel. Okay, but basically that is just how you import data. Just that is how you import data. If you want to export, you export from one database to the other, but those things are just for when you want to do data injection. When you are, that's what we call ETL, extract, transformation, and load. You understand, you are pulling data from your operational system into your warehouse. How you just build your SSIS packages and then all of those whole things. But that's just basically what this section is doing, of talking about exporting data and importing data. Another thing whether you can actually do. I just messed up. Okay. Another thing, I can still run this query now. Okay. Okay, sorry. Let me just change that database. I can just run this query now, and you can decide to go export it as a text. Let me just, okay, I can just say result as text. If I change it here, if I run it, it gives it to me as a text. I can have this as a grid, this as a file. If I select this and I run this, it's gonna give me a dialog box, and I can just call it text CSV, text.csv, and I save it on my desktop. And I just export that file. If I go back to my desktop, I'm just gonna see that file, that file open for me like that. So I can do quite a couple of things if you want to export files, but those are not things that you need to worry yourself. It's a whole lot more when you start doing ETL and you want to be a data engineer. You understand? So those are the things that you want to do. So yeah, that takes us to the end of this training. We look at the link resources. Islo has told you, Google it. There's Stack Overview. I've mentioned the YouTube a couple of times, and these are some W3 schools is nice. That is okay, there's Stack Overflow. These are places that you can just go through, and there are a whole lot of resources that you can look through and continue to enrich your knowledge. But it's something that they might take you a whole lot longer than when somebody that has really pass through it has now tells you, okay, this is what you can actually do. There was something that happened in the office the other day. We had one data set and we needed to analyze. And my boss was not trying to see how he's gonna analyze the data set and get insights. So what I just did was I just imported the data set into a Power BI service, and I go there to just say, give me quick insights. So when he now passed through and he was just now looking at the dashboard, so I pinned some of those visuals into the dashboard, and I was just telling him, okay, this one, that one. And he was just looking at me like you have done one magic. That is just the information that you get. And when you attend trainings, you understand people that have passed through those experiences will be able to share their knowledge, not just something that you have read in the book. It's something that is happening on a real life scenario in the office and how you go about it. I don't know. That's where I have it for today.
So can we take questions now?
Yeah.
Wow. How are we feeling right now, guys? It's been incredible, right? Incredible. Timothy, Uche, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the great delivery. Cecil, Remy, excellent team. You guys are the real MVPs. Guys on the chat by now, I was expecting that I will see a couple of thank you and appreciation. Like it's only one person that only one person, or is it okay? Okay, there are more. Okay, I thought it's just one person that I'm seeing on the chat. Let's appreciate this man for for this great work they have done so far. Again, I know some of us have really kind of appreciated what you have learned so far. Remember what we said at the very beginning. Don't diminish what you have learned. Don't diminish the skills that you have. You need to find a way to pamper yourself, celebrate yourself, encourage yourself. The more you do that, the more you build the confidence that you need. But if you are not doing that, then of course, I'm not sure who will, right? So let's appreciate ourselves as well for you to have stayed true up to this point. It's very, very impactful. And thanks so much, every one of you, for joining. I know the time is fast spent already. Do we have any question? Any question? We're just going to make it real quick because of time, guys. The most important thing, your assignment. Make sure you do your assignment. For those that were waiting for Expo, people like Jesse that was waiting for Expo, I believe Expo has been given to you now. So over to you. Make sure you don't copy copy your colleagues name and reg number even when you are writing the exam, because there are some people that will do the Expo. They will just copy everything they see for paper, even name of the person they are copying, the reg number. And you be like, what is going on? So make sure you you copy the right thing. Don't copy everything you see there. All right, fantastic. So let's move quickly to questions. So Grace, you have your hands up. Grace, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Remy? Yeah,
Yes.
just
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks a lot for this session. Big ups to you, Black Tech team. We really appreciate you. My question is for Timothy.
Yeah.
Timothy, it's just a question around Power BI and the SQL. Is there a direct connection? Like, can you load up your data live from the SQL database to visualize and get insight?
Yes. Yes, you can. You have direct query. Yeah, you
Direct.
connect through direct query. But the thing is, if your data is sitting in SQL with direct query, you're not the quick insight functionality on Power BI service is not available for you.
How about in desktop?
Yeah. You're not gonna. The quick insight is in Power BI service.
Oh,
But you
the
can
quick
do your
insight.
visualization.
Okay.
the quick inlay side,
Right.
but you're gonna do your visualization with direct query on your
Okay.
desktop, and you can just publish it. It's only direct queries are good when your data is constantly changing and the volumes are high.
Right.
You understand? In that case, you use a direct query on your
Right.
Power BI.
Right. So if the data is not constantly changing, what's the best way to go about it?
Import.
Okay.
But if the volume is not too much, because Power BI has a size limit of 1 gigabyte of data, though the compression level of Power BI is quite high. So that 1 gig is not actually like 1 gig. It might be equivalent of about like 10 gig or all of data, but Power BI will be able to compress it a whole lot faster for you, and then you'll be able to play around with it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's it from me.
Yeah, can we move to Shaw?
Shay, okay, that's Shay, sorry.
Shay.
Thank you
Shay.
so much to you guys for all the knowledge you shared. I wanted to quickly ask a question. Can I share my screen?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Okay, so it's about my it's this little icon here. I don't know, can you see the screen? Is it showing?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sure.
Yes, so I'm unable to drop down to see like the different tables and all that. It keeps doing this loading thing. Would you have any idea why that is?
I think it's about connecting, but Uche can respond.
Yeah, it's about connecting. I don't know why it's not connecting.
Maybe you shut down and open it again.
Okay, so it's just something about my connection, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, your connection.
Okay, thank you so much. And just quickly, I just have one more question about the group. I'm going to stop sharing now. The grouping that you showed us, I had asked a question about if you can group more than one column.
Yes.
Can you just quickly show what that looks like? Because I'm struggling to see how you'll be able to see the different groupings. If you've grouped by like 3 columns, for example, how does that actually look?
No, you can group by product ID and then due date. You're just gonna look at that product ID and look at the due date. You understand? And then it will show you another product. Okay.
Almost like a pivot table, kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
But not really like yes, almost like in a pivot table. As you keep adding more columns, it will keep grouping them subsequently down.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time that you guys have spent, just teaching us. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have Ayobami?
Yeah, thank you so much, Seisu. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Black Tech. My question is going to Timothy. I did have a SSMS before. So from SSMS, then I get the data studio. But when I save my file, I couldn't see the recent file on the data studio. I have to see it on my SSMS. So I will now go to the SSMS, copy it and put it in the data studio. It's not saving. I don't know if you have experienced that.
Yes, it's just 2 different versions. You understand? It's just through 2 different versions that I experience it.
Is there anything that you do that, or do I have to be copying?
Yeah, it's just like you have words on you type something how you using Microsoft version of 2018, and then you're trying to open it in 2010. You understand? You find out that you can't open it. So that is just what is happening. It's just different versions that Data Studio saves it as a different file. It actually has happened to me one day, and actually was just saying, what have I just done? How file that I have saved, and I try to now open it on the version and you're looking for it. But what you just need to just do is just type and but do you work on the tool environments at the same time?
No, I don't.
Okay. So what you now need to do is you just copy it all over to Data Studio and execute it, and then you save it, and then you always will see it in Data Studio.
Oh, I'll see it in Data Studio.
Yes.
No,
Like what
tried.
I did today, like this, save it somewhere. And as I was trying to just open it, I was just looking for it. You understand? So
is it possible
like
to
what
show
I'm
me
saying,
how you save on your own Data Studio now? Is it possible to show me, please?
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Okay. So you say you save the file, you create a file in
Data Studio,
and you
in
cannot
Data
open
Studio.
it and you cannot open it in Management Studio.
Okay, so this is what happened. So what the work the assignments and the class training we have been doing. So I did it in Data Studio. Then I saved the file in the Data Studio. So after the end of the day, I closed the Data Studio, right?
Okay.
And the next day, I reopened the Data Studio. So there's file in the Data Studio. I should be able to see my recent work and open it right away in the Data Studio. But I couldn't open it. I didn't see anything. So I have to go to SSMS, check the file on the SSMS. Then I saw it on the SSMS, but I couldn't open on the Data Studio. So I don't know why.
So the way if you open your Azure Data Studio and you go to File, your File menu, and then go to Open File, and pick that file, just the way you open a Microsoft Word document, that should work.
That should work.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
And then,
okay, I think that works.
That you went to the folder.
Yeah, you go directly to the folder where you saved it.
Okay, that works for me now. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I went on the folder, sorry.
Can we have Christiana Ezika?
Okay, thank you, Cesar. My question is, I just want to find out how to, interpret the error messages, because most times when you do something, I try to practice it, I do the same thing, I get error. So I don't know how to interpret it in order to correct the query. Yeah.
Any query that
you want to jump in?
Okay, let me just say, like, sometimes if you see an error and then it bumps out, if you just copy that error, put it onto Google, it will explain to you a whole lot more about the error and how it was solved.
Yeah, it could also be like a syntax problem.
A syntax problem, yes.
Yeah, so when it's syntax, you see the line where you have the error coming from. It will put line 4 or line 5 or line whatever. Go ahead, Oga Sezu.
Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say. So if you look at your Azure Data Studio, you have line numbers, right? Anytime there's an error, it tells you there's error at line this, and it try to read it. Most times it's very descriptive, right? And then always remember that the line number starts from where your query starts. So let's say you have 3 sets of queries and you highlight maybe the third query, and the third query starts at line 5, for instance. The error message will tell you error at line 1, but your line 1 is actually the line 5 on your query. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes. What about this, like invalid column name, invalid column?
That's quite easy, right? It's telling you that the name you have specified in your select does not match the same name of the database column. So you just check your spellings, and most times where the error is underlined with a red line.
Yeah, but we'll keep on trying. Yet I won't even find out why it's like that.
Mr. Sesu, can I quickly say something?
Sure.
Sometimes if it brings invalid column, it's because she didn't select the database. So it's still under master, not adventure work.
Oh yeah, that's very possible also.
No, this is an Adventure Works 2017.
You have the error message on your screen now to share. or a sample error message you're encountering?
Actually, I'm using phone and they're working on the computer laptop, so I can't share the phone.
Okay, just a quick one. Let me share. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So let's take a look at this query. I'm trying to run, this is the correct spelling first name, but I have FIRN. You see that it's already underlined. Even if sometimes it's not underlined, if I highlight this part of the query and I run it, you can see the error message saying that what? Invalid column name, FIRN.
Okay.
And it's also saying that what? Message 207 level 16 state 1. Look at the most important in line 1. It's line 1 of where I highlighted, right?
Okay.
So if I say, if for instance, I say first name, but I come here and I say something like, and I forget this, and I run this query, yeah, it's thinking. It don't take so long to give me an error. Errors usually pop up fast. Yeah, I have too many things open.
So now that F is on the line, does it mean that F is wrong?
No, not necessarily. I think it's just let the query stop running.
Mommy, this.
Oh, it's taking too long.
Maybe while we wait for that,
yeah,
we can ask another person to ask
let's
the
have
question.
another question.
So Florence.
Come on.
Florence. Okay, can we ask dear Kolola?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cecil, Timothy, and the faculty generally. This has been very insightful. Thank you so much. My question is, suppose, there was a time that we were working on like a database, and then we used that into keyword to create another table in the database. Suppose that like my sign-on does not have, I don't have the permission to write into the database. Okay, how can I handle complex data like that, or tables like that, if I work it? Because we created that table because we wanted to simplify what we were doing. So how can I handle that? Do I have to write complex that will keep repeating itself? Or how can I use functions? Is there any way to use functions in SQL? That is one question. Another question is, I gave myself this challenge of splitting like first name, second name, first name, middle name, and last name that in one column, split them into different columns. I found out that it took a long code for me to be able to do that. Do you have a shorter method, or if there's a simpler way to do it? Because at the end, I found out that I wrote a long line of code to be able to do that. But it's worked. But I feel, is there a shorter way? Anything you can refer me to that can help? Thank you.
Yeah, do you watch the previous classes?
Yes, I was in the previous classes. Yes.
Yeah, I think Sesu dealt with those questions during either class 1 or class 2. You might want to provide answers, Sesu.
Yeah, so I say you have a couple of options, right? Yes, it might be something complex to get that output out, because in SQL Server, we have something called UDFs, user-defined functions. So you've written that query, it's complex and it's worked. You can create a function out of it, right? So that anytime you need to do that same thing, you can use that function instead of having to write that same statement all over again. Just the way we have here, right? When we're writing a query here, this year is a function. Maybe because the owners of SQL realize that if you want to write a split, right? When you have dates, to split the year, month, and everything will take a long query. They created a function called year. So when you put in year and you pass in these dates, inside that is going to do a substring, right? And then remove just maybe it's going to do a substring of the last 3 digits, remove it, and then convert it into an integer. So the year function is an inbuilt function that does this for you. But because splitting first name, middle name, and last name is something that is not really generic, right? Because my first name, last name might come in different forms. So in your own scenario, you can now write your own custom functions to help out with your own use cases. You get the concept, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And about the first question about not having the permission to write into databases, how can one do that?
Yeah. So if you don't have the permission to write into databases, it might still depend on the permission you have. You can create something called temporary tables. I know Uche Timothy talked about temporary tables. I think it was in our first class where you can actually create temporary tables. You can also use subqueries. You can use nested queries. You can use something called common table expressions, right, to create those queries on the fly and use them inside another query. Those are kind of beyond the scope of our class, but it's very possible. You don't always have to save into a table. You can create views if you have the permission.
Okay, so you mean now that I can create a temporary table even if I don't have permission to write to that table, to that database?
I don't know. The permissions are broken down, right? So permissions are on objects. You understand? Okay. Permissions are on specific
objects. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't have permission to write at all, then you can use things like subqueries or common table expressions to create CTEs to create a table. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, to reuse it, you can run a table inside the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Can we have Florence now? Florence? Okay, I think that is it. Do we have any other question? Any other question?
Yeah, but my sister wanted to show me something. Show you.
Okay, sure. Let me try and share again. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, just the last person.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was trying to explain is for your queries, it's always, if you try to read the message, right? Sometimes you get the line number and all that might not be correct, but the error is happening before that line. So in this scenario now, if I run this query, you can see that it's saying error at line 1. That means this is your line 1, but this is your line 2. But the error is somewhere around there, and it's telling you invalid object name, person.person. Right? So in this case, it's telling you that this object is wrong. So there are 2 possibilities. One is, remember what someone explained. So let's say I write it correctly and I run this. I might still get the same, I'm still getting invalid object name, person.person. Someone made a suggestion. You have to now check the database you're connected to. Right? You see, this is master. So this database is in the AdventureWorks database. So I'm going to come here and select AdventureWorks database. With doing this, I can now run, if I run this query, then it's going to give me an output. There are also other options. One of the options is I can actually do this. Not getting intelligence, but let me try. Adventure Works 2017. .person. In this case now, I'll specify the adventure work, the database, the schema, and the table. So if this is even on DemoDB, which is another database, or master, I'm hoping that this would run. Yeah, I need to install a couple of updates.
Okay, but dot or space, is there a problem with it? Maybe if I didn't put space, or if I put space, does it contribute to the error message?
Yeah, space will contribute to error message. When your name in the names, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The case does not matter. It can be in lower, uppercase, but the space matters between the names, like first name. If you write this, right, it means something entirely different from this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, any other question? Okay, so we want to use this opportunity to appreciate everyone. Please look out for the feedback form, and inside the feedback form, you need to provide us with the name, the way you want your names to appear on your certificate of completion. So just give us the names there, provide your feedback so that we'll be able to incorporate all your feedback into the second cohort. And wish to continue to see more from you guys as we proceed in this journey together. On behalf of Black Tech and all the faculties, we want to say thank you so much for staying with us for the last 4 weeks. We appreciate you, and we'll see more of you in days to come. Thank you. Augustus, do you have any other thing?
No, none from me, but I think I just want to thank you guys for taking the time out to learn. My popular saying for me is when one teaches, two learn. So I probably would have learned a couple of things sharing with you guys. And I think the whole idea for us is to make you guys understand that this is not rocket science. It's easy. It just takes time and practice. And it's English language, as you guys can see. So with practice, with you know, putting yourself up to that challenge, I think we'll have a lot of SQL data analysts and DBAs spinning off from this class. That will be our joy, right? So thank you guys.
Thank you. Oga Timothy, any final words from you?
Yes, all I'm just saying is there was something I did, and I just want to share that. I came into South Africa, I read biochemistry as a first degree. I didn't know what an enter key is. I actually paid somebody like 30 bucks to actually help me and connect a computer. But one thing I told myself, if I keep doing this thing over and over, I'm gonna be good one day. And that was my thing. I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And yes, and I have worked in quite some good places and earned some money doing the same thing. So just keep doing it. You're gonna get better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. This was such a delight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good
God
night.
bless you.